want to go to, and it's extremely easily accessible because all you have to do is drive up to it. The only danger is obviously other traffic, and it's in a state park, so the rangers sort of pass by there with great enthusiasm all night, yelling at people to leave. Get out of here, it's not haunted. Get out of here, it's not haunted. We've heard that so many times that I'd heard that just in one night from the same ranger. No, they said, get out of here, it's not haunted.
Oh, it's not?
But just in that sort of like, in that voice where it's like they've already said it 1,000 times to
Oh,
me.
I better think, get out of here, it's haunted.
No, I
They
wish.
know. Oh, that would be surprising.
No, then they know we would keep coming back. That place is known too. At Halloween, people dress up and stand on the bridge and pretend they're ghosts. It's that kind of place. People have seances and stuff on the bridge, and I keep touching the microphone. You have to get out the disinfectant. Someone can have a souvenir. Okay, so the Jericho Covered Bridge is the last standing covered bridge in Harford County and one of few left in Maryland. It's a local legend and rite of passage for young ghost hunters and explorers. It's a fully operational bridge with street traffic traveling back and forth through Harford County to Baltimore County. It's located over the Little Gunpowder Falls River in Gunpowder Falls State Park and is part of the well-maintained Jerusalem Mill Village thanks to the Friends of Jerusalem Mill organization. Jerusalem Mill Village was once a Quaker settlement built around Jerusalem Mill, a grist mill that began operations in 1772. The gun shop, which is located behind the mill, was believed to be a musket production facility for the Maryland militia during the Revolutionary War. The village was a thriving settlement until the mill ceased operations in 1961. Soon after it shut down, the state of Maryland purchased the property, and in 1985, the Friends of Jerusalem Mill organization was formed to restore and maintain it. Jerusalem Bridge itself was built in or around 1865. There's some debate, but this was from the official site, to provide an alternative method of transporting grain over the Gunpowder Falls instead of using the road. The bridge has been listed in the National Register of Historic Places since 1978. There are numerous ghost stories associated with the bridge. Many are sad, and as one would expect, a few are hackneyed old tales. Covered bridges are often romanticized as iconic pieces of Americana, so it's natural that they would be excellent vehicles for tales about the dark side. Similar to the crybaby bridge legends that pervade many towns across the U.S., sounds of a crying baby that was thrown into the river and drowned can be heard near the bridge at night. And the ghost of its despondent mother is seen searching the area for her lost child. People have actually reported seeing an adult female ghost in the area. One interesting tale is that of a little girl who died on the bridge in a carriage fire. The details of the incident are lost to history. The bridge has undergone several renovations over the years, perhaps at one point due to a fire. The girl and her father were crossing the bridge when a lantern in the carriage fell over. It caught fire and the little girl died. The image of her face was burnt into the bottom of the bridge and could be viewed beneath it for years before more recent renovations covered it up. Her ghost allegedly still haunts the bridge. Now, another version of this story places it in a more modern context and states that the girl was riding in a truck with her father when a kerosene lamp fell over and started the fire. But I, in my time, did hear stories about the girl's face under the bridge. The most frequently experienced and disturbing piece of ghost lore, however, is that of the hanging slaves. According to many sources, a number of slaves were hanged from the rafters of the bridge as a political statement during the Civil War, when residents of Maryland were split between allegiance to the North and South. But the bridge was built in 1865 as the war was ending, so it's unlikely this was true. It is, however, possible that lynching subsequently occurred at the bridge. According to local legend, if you pull your car onto the bridge at night, turn off the engine and kill the lights, wait to the count of 3, then start the car and hit the brakes, the red glow from the brake lights will illuminate the silhouettes of hanging bodies. Not everyone has to go to such great lengths to see the hanging bodies, however. Sometimes these eerie figures and sad reminders of Maryland's past reveal themselves without the necessity of a car engine ritual. Sometimes they are not even seen but felt in the form of thudding footsteps on windshields, and white filmy foot and handprints are found smeared across the tops of cars later. I interviewed 2 people about Jericho Bridge, my friend Jen from the earlier story, investigator Samantha Kelly, founder of Crib Paranormal Investigators. Both have vivid recollections of their run-ins with the paranormal at this quiet, unassuming place. And Samantha later sent me some compelling photos that her team took during the investigation. You guys can see those too. They're pretty cool. So my interview with Jen. Me. Do you remember when you first visited the bridge? Jen. We went there many times, but the first time we had anything happen was in high school sometime. There was a group of about 10 of us. It was someone's birthday. We had parked in the state park lot on Jerusalem Road and walked over to the bridge. What time of year was it? I asked. Were you worried about getting caught by park rangers? Jen. It was early spring and foggy and chilly out, and yes, I remember that we were standing around trying to be quiet and trying not to get caught. What happened next? As a car came from the Kingsville side of the bridge, it saw us and slowed down, and as it was about to pass, we saw its headlights shine on the inside of the bridge. Several of us clearly saw the shadow of a hanging person on the inside of the bridge. A couple of us shouted out at the same time, and everyone described seeing the same thing. Me, what other experiences did you have there? Jen. Well, I remember the other thing that happened, which was worse. It was hot out, and we were coming back from a trip to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which is only about an hour and a half away. It may have been the summer we graduated high school or the one before, so 2002 or 2003, which tells you how old I am. The windows were down and we heard a thud on the roof. We rolled up the windows. They were the kind you had to hand crank, and I turned the car around and we sped out of there. Then we went to a lit parking lot, I think it was a gas station, just to get a soda and stop for a minute. I looked at the back window and in the light saw a giant white handprint. Both the guys with us got out and put their hands up to the print. It was almost twice the size of their hands and the fingers were very long. The print was so clear that you could even see the wrinkles of the fingertips. Me. I remember hearing other stories later similar to that footprints and handprints appeared on cars in this white residue substance. Whatever happened to the print? Jen. It was gone the next day and we couldn't get a good photo of it in the dark. I drive that road sometimes, but I don't stop on the bridge anymore. The park rangers are also more careful than they used to be, and it's hard to park or stop there at all. Then I have my interview with Samantha Kelly, and I'll skim through this because she tells me every detail of her life story as a paranormal investigator. So I asked her what particular legends she had heard about the bridge. She said, legend has it that several lynchings occurred at the bridge after the Civil War in which the captured people were hung from the upper rafters, sometimes many at a time. If you stop your car on the narrow bridge late at night, you look in your rearview mirrors and the image of a swinging body can be seen. There have also been stories of a little girl that was killed there by accident during the Civil War in practice fire, which was a story I had never heard. What paranormal experiences have you had there, I asked. Our team's investigations of the bridge took place on 4 nights in July. They were all around 10 p.m. on a pretty clear, warm nights. The last one was during a full moon. We decided to do a preliminary investigation of the area on the first night. We decided just to drive through quickly since it was on our way home. We drove through and didn't see anything, but we did get a creepy feeling. As we were driving away, we noticed an abandoned building up the street a few feet. I decided to get our camera out and take some pictures of the house. When we got home, my teammate Paula noticed a weird spot on one of our pictures. I pulled it up on the computer and we found that we had captured what looked like a full apparition of a little girl wearing a white dress. And I have the picture in the book, which unfortunately it came out a little dark, but if you want I can email it to you and it's really cool. After checking other pictures, we concluded that it was not a natural occurrence since it did not appear in any of the other pictures. The next night, we went back and Matt and I decided to do an EVP session. During this session, I felt very uneasy, like someone was watching me. The girls were taking pictures and video. We told Paula, Shannon, and Brianna to drive the car away and come back in about 10 minutes. During our EVP session alone, we heard what sounded like rocks being thrown. When Paula drove the car back, I asked for the camera to take more pictures. While I was doing this, the girls were in the car and the car started shaking while it was in park and I almost felt like it was moving forward. Then we drove up to the abandoned building and I took some more pictures, one in the exact spot where we caught the girl to prove she wasn't a natural occurrence. We took everything home to review the evidence, and what we found next was shocking. In one of the pictures Shannon took of the rafters, we saw what looked like legs and feet hanging, but they were curled up slightly. Matt is a former city firefighter and EMT and said it looked as if rigor mortis had set in because the legs would naturally curl in like the person had been hanging there for a while. I then told him that they had been left hanging for a while, which was something I left out in the briefing of the stories to him. We also had a picture of the exact same area where you can see that the apparition of legs and feet are not there. In our third investigation, we didn't get as much tangible proof as we did personal experiences, which she doesn't tell me much about. Finally, on our fourth investigation, we did an EVP session. At one point, Matt says, "I want to see you do something. Show us you're here. Touch one of the girls." After he says that, you hear a disembodied voice whisper, "I can't." This was outstanding. There was an intelligent spirit responding to our questions. And I asked her how have these experiences affected you and your group. And she said, "Our skeptic Matt, who doesn't really believe in many of the things we find, really agrees that there are ghosts there. It's made me more passionate about finding evidence of the paranormal and proving to people that there is something after death and finding the reasons why these spirits stay behind." And I do have the picture of the ghostly figure hanging on the bridge as well. So this is all on page 39 and 41, which I'll pass around. So do you guys have any more questions? No? Not that you have any to begin with, but then, okay, so I'm done talking. So if you want to come say hi to me or purchase a book, everything that you see before you is for sale. Maryland Ghost is $13.95. Bigfoot is $11.95. And I have a couple copies of This House, which is $9.95. So thank you guys so much for listening. Obviously, I'm going to stay and eat my food for a while and drink. So, but thank you again so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it, and it was awesome to share these stories with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah. I was going to say the incident you were talking about with the car, the car being shaken around.
Yeah.
That reminds me of I was in San